Hey guys, what is up? It is Smashy here, and welcome to the very first video on my channel. If you guys are going to enjoy this video, then hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications. In this video, we are going to be reviewing Dragon Ball Super Broly. Now, I have watched this movie before, but I decided to rewatch it for the sole purpose of this movie review. And I must say that this movie still stands out to this day. And as per normal movie review, I'm going to be giving you guys the things that I liked about this movie and the things that I really didn't like about this movie. Now, the first thing that I liked about this movie is the way that they told both Broly and Goku's backstory. If you remember the legendary Super Saiyan movie, Broly's backstory was not that good. In my opinion, it is still arguably the worst backstory in Dragon Ball's history. But in this movie, Broly's backstory was actually told a lot better. So, in the King's Palace, where King Vegeta is, they were keeping the Saiyans in these little capsules where they were, trying to grow up and everything. And King Vegeta sees Broly, and he asks some of his men to know what Broly's power level was. And the power level was so high that the scouters couldn't even read the power level. Broly's power level was just that high. And it was scaring the king, because he didn't want Broly to rival Prince Vegeta's power. Later in the movie, King Cold arrives onto Planet Vegeta and basically tells the king that he will be retiring his role as the king and he will be giving the role to his son Frieza. And instead of being called the Cold Force now, they renamed it to the Frieza Force. And Frieza treats the Saiyans like they're slaves. Basically, they do all the hard work and all the hard labor, and the Saiyans really do not like it. Now we get into Goku's backstory. So we have Bardock and Gin, who are Goku's parents, and this backstory actually wasn't that bad. What's happening is that Bardock senses a feeling that Planet Vegeta was going to blow up at any time. So what happens is that Bardock places Goku in a pad and sends Goku into planet Earth. And a couple of minutes after that happens, Planet Vegeta blows up or gets blown up by Lord Frieza. Now, later in the movie, some of Frieza Force's combatants basically saved Paragus and Broly from Planet Vampa and took him over to Lord Frieza. Frieza looks over at Broly and sees that Broly has a lot of great potential inside of him. And later in the movie, Broly tells the green girl, I forgot what her name was, a little bit about the friend that he made on Planet Vampa called Ba. Now, Ba was a monster unlike any other because Ba and Broly were very good friends. They were playing together, training together, and all that stuff. But one day, Paragus got all fed up and shot Ba's ear off, and that's what Broly wears around his waist, is Ba's ear to remember him. Now, we all know that Z Broly had a loss of temper sometimes, and that's kind of what Super Broly has. Super Broly has this collar around his neck where if Paragus presses a button on his remote, it would send a static shock, allowing Broly to calm down. Now, I think that Paragus, in my opinion, was treating Broly like a slave. Broly needs to live his life as just a normal human being or as a normal Saiyan because basically he was getting punished for absolutely nothing. I mean, sure, Broly does lose his temper kind of easily, and that's what the collar and the remote is for. But the green girl decides to take the remote from Paragus and completely break it because she did not like the way that Paragus was treating Broly. And personally, I sort of agree too. Now we finally get into the fights. My god, the fighting sequences in this movie are just absolutely breathtaking. I think that this has some of the best animation that I have ever seen within any movie. At first, Frieza wants Paragus to show Broly his power, and that's exactly what happens. Broly first goes after Vegeta, and when Vegeta turns into a Super Saiyan, Paragus basically could not believe it. He was like, well, isn't the Super Saiyan only a myth? And he was just still in utter shock. And Broly himself couldn't believe it. Broly felt the energy that Vegeta was basically emitting. He had this aura that was just so big that Broly was just surprised. Now, later in the fight between Vegeta and Broly, Broly gets more adaptive as he fights, and then later on, Vegeta turns into a Super Saiyan God. He learned how to turn into a Super Saiyan God on his own, because if you remember in the anime, you needed 5 Saiyans in order to transform into a Super Saiyan God. And Vegeta was able to learn that technique all by himself. He did not need any other Saiyans to help him with the technique. And I'm just going to say, Vegeta was beating the crap out of Broly. Broly barely got any hits in. Sorry for the notification. Broly barely got any hits in, and Goku finally got a piece of Broly, and Broly was actually adapting to the way that Goku moves. Goku obviously first turns into a Super Saiyan, and then he was able to transform into a Super Saiyan God. And Goku actually learns a new technique called God Binding. It is where that the user paralyzes the enemy from moving for a while, but Broly's rage was so great that he was able to break out of the God Binding. And then later on in the battle, Frieza wants to see some of Broly's anger, and what does he do? Broly decides, or not Broly, Frieza decides to kill Paragus, and that pisses off Broly. He turns into a Super Saiyan, something that we have not seen from Broly the first couple of minutes in the movie, or like the first hour into this movie. And Broly was just absolutely incredible when he was fighting Goku. And it was to the point where Goku could not handle the fight on his own. So basically what happened is that they instant transmissioned over to Piccolo, and Piccolo decides to learn the fusion dance with Goku and Vegeta. Goku and Vegeta finally do the fusion dance, and Gogeta was finally born. And I must say the animation with Broly versus Gogeta was just absolutely breathtaking. It's to the point where it's almost impossible to keep your eyes off the screen because of the breathtaking animation. Now, the green girl is afraid that Broly is going to die, so he takes, or not he, she takes the Dragon Balls and summons Shenron, and the wish is to send Broly back to the planet he grew up on, which was planet Vampa. Before Gogeta fired that Kamehameha, the wish was successfully granted because if the wish would not have happened sooner, Broly actually would have been killed. And since the wish was performed successfully a little bit early, the fight was finally over, and thus concludes the Goku, Vegeta, and Broly fight. Now, at the end of the movie, what happens is that Goku travels to planet Vampa again, and he basically tells Broly that he wants to train with him again sometimes. Gives them a little house and everything from Bulma, gives him a little capsule and all that stuff. And thus concludes the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Personally, for me, I think this movie was just a 10 out of 10. I don't think there was anything wrong with this movie. So if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button down below. And if you are at all new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!